Hello, Dr. Wendy Rowley for series of the Heartfield, episode 6. And I sometimes have been contemplating what is love? And does love mean we automatically help someone when they are in need or in trouble? Does love mean that we give of ourselves in every way, in every situation? Or is there a kind of love sometimes in holding back and having the wisdom to allow someone to pull in their own soul forces and their own strength and to learn by their experience? There is a complication as a human to understanding what is love. It has so many levels, and there are societal expectations of the way you should be when you are loving. There are family expectations on what is love and when you are acting in love and when you are not. And there are even going back ancestral understandings of what is love and what is not. What your grandparents believed and how that interplays into your parents and then your parents into you. So it's a tricky subject. Some definitions are you just give without thinking and you don't hold back. But what if there's a case where you're a giver and you give to the point where you exhaust yourself, or you give to the point where you are so spent by that giving, or so feeling like you're just invisible in that giving, and that giving starts to be taken advantage of because it's easier for you to do it for them than for them to do it for themselves. So it's a tricky and complicated issue. And as a human, that's where I feel the heart field comes in very well to help guide you. There's a feeling you get when it's right to help in the heart, and there's a feeling you get somewhere else when it's not right. And is it coming from a part where you're feeling the karma of it and it's resistance to helping when you should? Or karma meaning that you have a disharmony with someone that's a match? As we've been saying, you have your aura and your body, and your aura is your Akashic records, and your body is your bridge to your spirit and higher self and soul. And do you have the same disharmony that person has, so that when you're with them, you feel uncomfortable? And are you not giving because of that discomfort? Or are you not giving because it is the wise thing to do for the greater good of all? So sometimes the best we can do is just surrender and say, what is for the greater good of all? I don't have all the answers. I don't know. And I have to just feel my way in my heart through that situation. And so I'm going to turn the floor over to Aliania, because I have a feeling her talks are going to get a little lengthier as this series continues. And let's see what someone on the other side of the veil at the level of guides has to say about love and the heart field. Or maybe not. Maybe she'll talk about something else. Oh, good day to you, dearest beings of light. Peace be with you, peace be with you, and peace be with you. This day, we wish to talk about the heart field in relation to the group dynamic, because in that room, as this one was trying to say, with you and another person in a situation, there is a lot more going on there. There is your ancestral energy that runs up the back in the spirit body behind the spine. And it goes to many, many levels of the ancestral for individual, family, group, tribes, nations, and even beyond that, which you do not know yet. And you have your own life lessons that you're here to learn. You have your own soul's mission on what you hope to accomplish in this life. And we have said, and it's an article on this one's website under the monthly channels, you can find it. We're going to ask you to keep that one up in every year's channels, just keep moving it along. And it's called The Friction of the Soul. And it's about the feeling that the soul sometimes uses to motivate someone on their mission or in their life lesson, because the two often go together. Sometimes your life lesson and overcoming and learning that leads you to your mission, what your soul actually came here to accomplish in this lifetime, if you can imagine such a thought. So you have that level. You have, as we said, the ancestral level. You have the shared disharmony, as this one said, with the other one that might be resonating, that makes things you experience that aren't positive and loving and warm and happy to feel so intense, and emotions to feel so strong. And you have that level in your soul's Akashic records that are in your aura field, as well as at the top of your head. There's a little working area. Some people refer to it as the soul memory data bank. We refer to it as the working Akash. It's that part of your soul's records where maybe you didn't bring light into a situation, or compassion or love or understanding or patience or whatever that virtue was at that time. And perhaps you even created a darker energy on top of it, that situation. And that's the part you come in and heal. That's all karma is. It's just healing something and changing it to a more light field experience in your being. And so the working Akash is up in the 7th chakra, and it's a little area that your soul goes through, and your family karma and your parental energy goes through it. And it picks up off of a larger area that's picked occurrences out of the auric field to go up there and to work on in a lifetime. And if you work on it and you heal it and you figure it out, as this one was told by one of her teachers, 98% of the time, all the soul has to do to heal something is for the human to have a conscious awareness of it. Another great healing master that brought forward some wisdom that's channeled information that's in the United States is a man named Edgar Cayce. And he said that in order for healing to happen, there must be a conscious realization of that. He said it in a different way, but that it was the same thing. So this wisdom and this knowledge has been understood for quite a long time in the human condition, even as far back as 10,000 years ago. It was understood in areas like Egypt and different healing centers in the Middle East. There were healing centers ever since humans first said, I will help you. As they formed tribes and communities and eventually cities, there's always been a healing center somewhere of some sort, whether it started with an individual who was the shaman in the tribe or the healer in that tribe. There's always been healing centers on the earth that humans have somehow deeply known that that is an important part of being human. So when you have the two people in the room and you have this experience between them, there are multi levels going on. And we've only touched on 4, but there are actually 24 levels of the body and 24 levels of the spirit that you have, that you are working through and living through and being within at all times. And at some point we will come out and speak of and give an understanding of all 24 levels in this healing paradigm. This one has looked into that, but never quite been able to pull all that information out of her understanding. But others are aware of it. She's going to a healing center for a little retreat for a couple of weeks, and they operate that whole healing center on 24 principles to affect these 24 levels that you have at the body level. And they co-branch into some of the spiritual level with that. So what is the right thing to do in a situation? This one was counseled by the minister who married them, that when they have a difficulty, to each separate and go in another room and pray and ask for guidance until they feel their heart stimulated, and then come back together and try to resolve the problem. They've even gotten to the point where they don't bother to say words that have a charge in them. Another thing that same wise man told this one is that when a disharmony within your being, if the charge is greater than you in that moment, the charge will rule. And those are the times where people just blah, 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 and they might say all these terrible and mean things because the charge is so great, they did not have control in that moment. So we must always be patient and understanding and compassionate. But sometimes if you don't have an understanding of these things as a human, you react back, you push back, and you say things mean back, or you run away and go the other way because you don't want to say things back. So there is wisdom in separating, giving time between something and then coming back together. So that's one thing you can do in a moment where you have a disharmony with someone. Another thing is to immediately stand back and sort of push back into your bones, sort of like you're feeling back into your bones and pulling energy back into yourself, and just having a little prayer in that moment within yourself, why that person says what they have to say, or they're asking you for help, or they're demanding that they help you, or you feel you need help from someone and you're having to ask them, and maybe their reaction is not what you hoped it would be. And so that's a second thing you can do. A third thing you can do is say, I need time to contemplate this and I will get back to you. And that gives the space to not react in a charged energy where all these things might be going on. So those are three little tools you can use when you're in the moment of trying to decide whether to help someone, or you're asking someone to help you, and what will their answer be. So being human is tricky, but it is a learning experience. And the mastery is learning how to stay in balance no matter what energy is going on around you, how to keep your own emotions in balance no matter what is going on around you, and how to keep your own mental field in balance while all is going on around you, even when it's one of your periods where you're out of balance. And how do you do that? There are many tools to do that. You can meditate. You can go for a run. You can go out for a walk in nature. But mainly, they all involve separating from the situation and getting to be with yourself. And many of them are about tuning and aligning to the higher self and soul, and asking and surrendering. Because this is always the best choice. Rather than reacting, rather than throwing out energy, and rather than committing something that then you regret later, or you feel justified and righteous that you were okay to do that. The other side of the polarity of that coin, either, oh, it's my right, they were so mean and I had the right to say that, or I don't want to say anything. I want to hold myself in a proper way. So sometimes humor is a good thing too. Sometimes this one's learned that when someone just lets out all this stuff on her, she goes, wow, I'm glad you got that out. That must feel a lot better. Or one time she even said to someone, you must be in a lot of pain to say that to someone. And those are truths, and they're honest, and they are often unsettling to the other person, and they take them out of that moment where they're in that energy, and they take them to another place of understanding. So sometimes a little bit of humor can do wonders. So what we wish to speak about regarding the heart field this day is that the truest way to access your heart field is by aligning. And it's known in a place called Heart Math, and it's come forward in some other healing, and it's known as breath work in yoga and some other disciplines. And it's known that when you align the breath and the intention of the heart, that the heartbeat will slow down. That if you slow down and breathe, and it's often used for panic also. They do a breathe in at 4, breathe out at 4. Because the breath is part of that etheric energy. It's aligned to the astral and it's aligned to the etheric. the breath is. And so when you do the breath in a conscious way, you bring about a calming of the etheric energy and a calming of the astral energy. And the breath has a connection in the heart field to the heart, to the actual physical heart, as well as to the thymic heart. When it's connected the breath to the physical heart, it actually has to do with respiration and oxygenation and the miracle and of the alchemy that goes on there, that you breathe in oxygen and breathe out CO2. It is more than just oxygen for the body. It is actually an alchemical process that has to do with absorbing information. And we're going to talk about that one as a complete channel in another section of this Heartfield series. And this one's wondering if she has to remind us. No, you don't. We will remember. We know. This series is actually a series of understandings that have a pathway that they're leading you all to for a conclusion at the end of this year. So the breath is also connected to the thymic gland. And in the thymic gland, it has a resonance to an actual energy there that is sometimes seen as a white circle. And it connects to another that's sometimes seen as a red square and a red square. And these are called breath. And the old term is the form builder and the grid builder. A more modern term might be the hara and the, I don't know the Indian name, but it's another word they use besides the hara. And another terminology that might have even greater understanding is to say my body and my connection through the body to the greater earth of all humans on the earth. And so the breath is a sacred thing, for it connects you to your own heart and the alchemy of that's going on there. And it connects you to your body and your body's connection to the elemental kingdom of the earth and to the grid of the earth. And then the thymic gland and the heart connect you to the spiritual heart here in the chest, connect you to those levels at the spiritual level, at the cosmic level within your being. So you are connected through breath in two magnificent ways. And we wanted you to have that understanding this day that you may contemplate the magnificence of you. You are dearly loved. Expect benevolence in all you do, and we bid you adieu. All right. That concludes session 6, episode 6 of the Heartfield series. See you next time. Bye-bye.